Islands are exotic, they're fragile, and they're home to people who are undeniably connected to the sun, soil, and water that surrounds them. But islands also put the world's problems under a magnifying glass. Climate change becomes more acute, survival requires sustainability, and economic burdens are a way of life. But can islanders themselves, the very backbone of these sunny and sometimes frigid communities, survive these epic battles? Come with me to explore the islands of the world, the places that these islanders call home, and the places that you'll find are definitely worth fighting for. Welcome to Bermuda, a volcanic chain of islands that's been supporting its people, even without a source of fresh water, ever since English settlers landed on its shores in 1609. Now, don't let the turquoise waves fool you. We're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, about 650 miles due east of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, which if you were to fly here from New York or Boston, would take you about 2 hours. Not a bad commute, actually. And while Bermuda may be known for its pink sand beaches and folks zipping around on scooters, it's also a place where islanders struggle for things like water, fresh produce, and even at times happiness. It's all a bit surprising, actually. At first glance, Bermuda seems like this well-oiled island paradise. But what you soon find out is that this community is fighting for its very existence.
Bermuda's had an issue with fresh water for such a long time, and there's no real solid fix to it apart from you can't stop using fresh water. But I think we've managed to battle the problem quite well.
Chris Fluke has dedicated his career to protecting Bermuda's ocean habitat, and his battle is water conservation, a critically important issue since islanders must capture every drop they need on stepped white roofs that collect the rain. Why are all the roofs in Bermuda white and stepped?
Well, basically it comes back from tradition of building, and the white is actually a lime-based paint that they put on the top coat. Part of it is to help try and seal all the individual slates together to make it one unit, but it's an alkali base to help sterilize the rainwater that lands on the roofs. The steps on the roofs are actually to try and break down the velocity of the water as it hits the roof and runs down. If it was flat, it would just basically pick up speed, hit the gutter stone, and go over the top. By breaking the fall every time, it basically slows it down, so when it hits the gutter stone, it carries into the tank.
So then after the water hits sort of one of the edges and then it goes into like a hole down into a cistern?
Yeah, so basically when every house is built in Bermuda, by law, it has to have about, I think it's like 8 gallons of holding for every square foot of roof. And because Bermuda has no fresh water at all, I mean, we've got a couple of small freshwater lenses, but essentially there is no fresh water in Bermuda, so we literally live off our rainwater.
What happens if, it doesn't rain? What happens if you run low on your cistern?
Well, nowadays, I mean, there's some technologies out there, sort of reverse osmosis and things like that people are starting to get hip to. But literally, if you run out of water in your water tank underneath the house, you're out of luck. You need to order water. So there's a few companies here that do have access to sort of water supplies, whether it's the freshwater lenses or osmosis plants and things like that. But essentially, you're spending probably about $90 for about 900 gallons.
As if living without fresh water on an island in the middle of nowhere wasn't hard enough, islanders also pay sky-high energy bills and nearly $7 US for a single liter of gas. It's enough to make even the most cheerful of islanders a bit grumpy. But what if there was one man who was single-handedly planting the seeds of happiness, one wave at a time? Meet Johnny Barnes, Bermuda's very own Goodwill Ambassador.
I love you. I love you. Good morning.
So how many years have you been waving hello to the people of Bermuda?
Over 70 years. Over that.
70 years. And what time each morning do you get to the roundabout?
At 20 minutes to 4.
20 minutes to 4. So like what about if it's raining?
I've got my raincoat, got my rain boots, my rain hat. That's why I travel with the bag.
So why do you do it? I mean, what's your motivation?
Well, you see, when God made us, he gives us all something to do.
So what's your job? Why did God put you here? Was it to sort of spread the seeds of happiness throughout the island?
Like God wakes me up in the morning, put a song in my heart, a joy in my soul, and a smile on my face. I just give it away to others. It's contagious. And that's what we want to learn how to do, is to love one another. If we can learn how to love one another, this world will be a much more happier place.
So right down the street, there's a giant bronze statue of you waving hello to the people of Bermuda. How does it make you feel to, have a statue erected in your honor and to be sort of this living legend?
Well, I don't let it get in my head. God permits something to take place in our lives, and some things He doesn't. And when they came to me and said to me, Johnny says we're going to put a statue down there when you're dead, I said, no way. What do you mean? I said, no way. I said, you want to do something for me? You want them alive so I can enjoy it. I said, you put a statue down there, I'm dead. I don't know nothing about it. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Spreading good cheer may be a simple notion, but on a tiny island like this, a wave and a smile from Johnny Barnes goes a long way. Just think about it. His goodwill brightens the spirits of an entire nation, which is a lesson that communities around the world can really learn from. Now 90 years old, Johnny is providing a resource that's as vital to this island's survival as the rain that wets the roofs. A fact that no one knows better than local farmer Tom Watson. Since 1976, he's been at the helm of Watson's Farm, an organic farm in Southampton that grows all-natural fruits and vegetables and raises free-range and grass-fed sheep, chicken, and pigs. Considering most of Bermuda's produce and meats are brutally expensive since they're shipped in from overseas, and even everyday items like a half gallon of milk cost around $8 US, it's a method of farming that Tom says is vital to his community's wallet and its palate. Something we both soon discover over a freshly prepared farm-to-table dinner served inside his country store. Wow, this looks delicious. What are we eating here?
Well, we're eating lionfish, which is the new ecological sort of eat 'em to beat 'em thing. This fish, this invasive fish that's arrived. And I can see a little bit of thyme on there, fresh thyme, kale, pesto, and some of the greens from our hydro greenhouse.
And this all came from your garden, right? The kale pesto?
Yeah, we're fresh out of lionfish right now.
Yeah.
In the garden, but yeah.
That's so good. You could really taste the freshness of the kale pesto, and the flavors really jump out.
It is wild, isn't it?
Now these greens, these are the ones we saw in the greenhouse earlier today?
Yeah. They're struggling out there right now, but we still are able to grow lettuce at this time of year. It's just very hot.
I mean, it sounds like a battle. It sounds like being a farmer here in Bermuda. I mean, being a farmer in general is probably, a series of constant battles.
Yeah, it's tough around here because, unless you maintain agriculture, you're on an island. By definition, you are isolated, especially here. I mean, closest point of land is Hatteras, and there's no commercial freight running out of there, but you got to be making food where you are. It's not like you need to take a boat from upstate New York to New York City. I mean, that's a different thing, so to have it here is critical. Absolutely critical.
Well, that's about all the time I've got left here in Bermuda. It may have its fair share of challenges, but to these islanders, it's a home worth fighting for. So for everyone here, I'm David LaHuta, and I'll see you next time from a new island facing new battles, somewhere around the globe.